Hello, BookTube. I'm back with a different kind of video today, one that I've actually really enjoyed watching as I start getting more into BookTube, and that is a tag. And what a tag is, essentially, you're given a prompt of questions and you give your answers. So I figured let's jump right in with the first one, which is why did I start this channel? And I think for me, it's one sort of two purpose. First, to just log my reading journey, something sort of as a video diary in a sense of what I've been enjoying, as well as being able to engage with a community and people and sort of influence what I'm going to read moving forward. Second question of what fun or unique things do I bring? And I think for this one, it's maybe the lack of, reading I have compared to a lot of other booktubers, and that, um, I'm sort of a sponge in that there's a lot to take in, a lot of different areas to explore, but then also maybe having interests in some of the types of books, which will be coming up later, that I think really sort of let me not be biased towards any genre or authors because I really couldn't give you a hard sense on any of them from where I am at the moment. Number three is what are you most excited about? And for this one, I think something that for me is really exciting is sort of the interaction with other people on BookTube. Being able to chat with people, whether I'm talking about books I've read or bought or thinking about reading, and seeing their thoughts, getting their recommendations, what are they reading, and just sort of have that little community. And something related to that I actually just recently started was I created a Blue Sky account. Now, if you don't know what Blue Sky is, I didn't know what that was until just a couple days ago. It's essentially a spin-off of Twitter, which I used to use all the time. I really liked the platform, but over time I just kind of have stopped using it for one reason or another and think that the Blue Sky system seems a lot more toned down, less bots and ads and things all over the place. And I think what I'm going to do there is sort of use it as a, well, if BookTube is a video diary, that'll be sort of a text diary. I'll be hopefully sharing my thoughts about what I'm reading, maybe some questions I have or thoughts as I'm going through books. So I'll link that in the description for this video. So if some of you are curious or don't know anything about it, it was fairly simple to set up like any other social media site. But I think that's exciting, being able to have another space to chat with people about books and what they're enjoying. Number four, a big one, why do you love reading? And I think for me, obviously such a big question, but I think it's just that everything, when you open a book, it's just such an unexplored area, a world. Even if it's a topic you've read about maybe 100 times before, I'm sure there's always something you can take out of it. And so having that experience through all the books I've been reading lately is really special, I think. Question number five, we have what books or series got you into reading? And so for me, as a typical sort of Gen Z type kid, it was series like Harry Potter, Percy Jackson, the Maze Runner series. I remember all of those. You have memories with each of those books, and then you read the books in high school. And I think recently what got me back into reading was the Baseball 100. I've talked about that on the channel before, sort of a journalistic approach at listing the 100 best baseball players. And it's something that I've always been a big fan of is sports, but then having the reading in a really connecting way, the true storytelling from Joe Posnanski, the author, really sort of got me to fall back into the reading habit and groove, and it's just taken off from there. Question number six, we have what questions would you ask your favorite booktubers? And I think for this, it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier, where like for me, I have memories of reading The Maze Runner in the car, listening to the song Stereo Hearts while that's going on, weird memory that you hold on to, but things like that. Maybe you have a certain memory of reading a book or a special place you might have been or a time in your life when you read it that it really impacted you. So I think those are the kind of questions that can take a book from just being, oh yeah, I really like it, I'd recommend it, to elevating it sort of beyond the standard words on the pages and taking it into their personal lives. And then we have question number 7 here. What challenges starting off this channel do you think will be the hardest to overcome? And I think for me, that's maybe just confidence in my opinions. As I mentioned, not having read a ton. It's one where obviously I'm just talking to the phone, but you also want to sound competent. You want to know what you're talking about. And while that comes with the reading the book, you always have it in the back of your mind that maybe someone's going to say, no, you read that wrong. Just like, in classes, like, oh, there's a rubric, you missed that, you interpreted it wrong. Things like that, or maybe in the back of your mind. So I think it's just sort of growing out of that, knowing, um, people are going to have those difference of opinions for books, whether they like them, dislike them, think the author did a good job, think any author is better than the other, things like that. I think through time, I'll be able to accept much more readily. Question number 8, when did you start reading? So, I mean, as you could probably tell from the series that I listed earlier, as a kid, so a lot of these young adult books, as well as a bunch of kids' books that I guess I don't really remember as well now. But then really it's taken back off this year, so recently getting back into a lot of books that have really sort of sparked the interest, kept the interest going, and definitely have plans to keep that going into the future. And then we have question, I think, number 9 here. Where do you read? And for me, that's just on my couch. Try to get comfy with some pillows, put my feet up, and get through the books. There's good lighting. There's a window if I'm reading during the day or at night. It's usually pretty quiet where I live, so just on my couch for that one. And then finally, what kind of books do you read? And for this one, it is fluctuating, right? As I said, I'm still sort of getting into reading as a whole, but I think some of my favorites recently have been just in the general nonfiction space. Things like Baseball 100 about sports, or I recently just finished McPherson's Battle Cry of Freedom, so maybe thinking I'm going to be getting into a bit of a Civil War reading rut here, or not rut, but a Civil War reading, kick, as well as biographies. I've been reading some music biographies, and think that's an area I like, as well as wanting to explore things like classics, books that people talk about, or books that are maybe known to the name but not to the story, things like that. I've enjoyed the ones I've read and want to keep trying to get through a lot of those famous ones. And then it's also just recommendations, things that I get excited from seeing other booktubers talk about, which are all over the place, right? Those are fiction and nonfiction, and I think it's always being receptive to those different suggestions, especially from where I am. I can almost always say I haven't read a book someone may be recommending, and so it's exciting to see if the library has it or if I can find it at the used store, to try and add it to the list. But those are all the questions for this tag. I'll be hopefully doing more tags because, like I said, those are some of my favorite videos to watch, just because you get to kind of see a different side of the person behind the camera. And as always, I hope you have happy reading, and I'll see you next time. Bye.